Hey hairdressers, I'm Sid Charisse.
And I'm David Bosher, and we are Destroy the Hairdresser. At Destroy the Hairdresser, we are head over heels for Aura salonware. Why? Because Aura is the only salonware that flawlessly supports every one of the Destroy the Hairdresser game-changing methods. From station sharing and cashless payments to offering true scheduling freedom and more, Aura's got it all. Wrapped in a beautiful, easy-to-use package, it's perfect for everyone, whether you're an independent stylist or managing multiple salon locations. Plus, Aura's robust features help streamline your operations and boost your bottom line. Ready to elevate your salon? Visit aurasalonwear.com/DTH for exclusive discounts and start your journey today. Give your clients great hair with fewer products and make more money with less inventory. Introducing Hair Story, a mindful and innovative brand. Hair Story's game-changing product, New Wash, cleans and conditions without harsh foams or detergents, restoring your scalp's natural balance. Made with gentle, biodegradable ingredients and recyclable packaging, it's good for your hair and the planet. With Hair Story Pro, earn a 25% commission on client purchases either in person or online. Plus, enjoy free education, wholesale pricing, and special client discounts. Try New Wash for free and get pro access today at hairstory.com/DTH. All right, everyone, welcome back to Destroy the Hairdresser podcast. I am without my trusty sidekick today, which means I get to interview one of our current or former students from Destroy the Hairdresser. But before I invite our guests in, I want to remind you that we have Hairdresser Hotline, and it is always open. The number is 201-564-5007. You can text us, you can send us a voicemail, you can rant, you can rave, and we will answer questions or share your stories anonymously on our podcast or on our social media channels. That number is there for you to connect with us anytime. No one will answer it, so you don't have to be afraid that someone's going to pick up the phone, but make sure you're using Hairdresser Hotline to get your questions answered live on our podcast. But today I am joined with a former student / former coach, Rachel Radford, the owner of Ceremony Salon in Carborough, North Carolina. Good morning, Rachel.
Good morning. How are you?
I did great. You know, you and I have had such a long history of working together, and I think when you've come and gone through the program as a student, you've come and gone through the program as a coach. How are you doing since, leaving DTH as a coach? And I use the word leaving as in like, not gone.
Right. I've been here the whole time. I am fantastic. I needed that time. There was a lot of crazy shit going on in my business and my personal life, and I needed time to kind of focus on that. And now I'm on the other side, and I could not be better.
That's amazing. I think with Destroy the Hairdresser, when a coach leaves or a student leaves, there's always this mentality of like, what happened, right?
We love
what went on. Yeah. And so we're going to tell you the tea, right? We're going to just share it. So before we get into details of where you are now, for those of you that don't know Rachel, I want to give you a chance to kind of share how you found Destroy the Hairdresser, what made you jump in, and what kind of state was your business in when you started as a student with Destroy the Hairdresser.
I love this story. Okay, so it was, I found DTH through the podcast, like many people. And I remember listening, just being like, who the fuck do these people think that they are? Like, this is crazy. Like, this sounds good, but like,
is this
never
in 2000? This is like 2018, 2017?
Earlier, probably. Like, maybe 2000. Maybe you were, I mean, like,
Sid and I were just on the scene, so it might have been 2016.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty early. You had long hair.
Oh, that was 2016.
Yeah. And then you announced, time, what is it? But you announced that you were doing Destroy Bad Business Tour and that you needed a host salon. And I was like, I have to be that salon, because I didn't really have a good reason. I wanted to do it because I wanted to be influential. I didn't know that I could really benefit from this yet, but I just knew I had to have y'all in my space. So when you got there, you taught the class. Long story short, like, it completely blew my brain wide open. At the time, I was in a place where, God, like, I went from a 5-chair salon, grew to I don't even know, 14 chair salon. I was still working behind the chair 5 days a week, double booking with assistants, all the things. But I was very unhappy and I did not have any money and I did not know where my money was going. My team behind me was kind of complaining, running the show because I was an absent leader. I didn't know all this at the time. I just knew something was awry. Something was not good. And my eyes were opened even more after y'all came and taught that class. And I had the privilege of sitting with you by myself for a while after the class because I was the only leader there. So I was like won the lottery and you just like put it to me straight is what I needed to hear. I was like,
so what made you,
cried.
you know, I remember when it was me and you talking and you wanted to work with me one-on-one. And I think I gave you an ultimatum.
Oh yeah, you did.
To work with me. What was the ultimatum?
That I had to raise my price and that you were not going to let me sign on until I did that.
And you did that, I think.
Yeah. I don't like when people tell me I can't do something. And I think that was what makes you a really good coach. Like you were able to see that in me in that time. So yeah. I did it the next day and I called you like, okay, bitch, I did
it. You did. And then we started working together. And I will say to this day, I would say that your salon and your story is probably one of the biggest transformational success stories that we have at Destroy the Hairdresser. Yes, that comes from the assistance of coaching, but it really comes from your ability to take these tools, take coaching and bring it to the next level. And that's true for all students, right? We're providing you with consciousness, with tools, with support. But if you don't implement it and you don't trust the process,
you're not.
There
was a lot of that.
Yeah, you don't get the results from it. What do you think, if we're speaking financially, what was the biggest shift for you? When did you realize like this is making me more money? These methods are making me more money. The coaching is making me more money. When did I
realize that?
Click it.
I mean, after my price increase and I didn't lose a damn client, I mean, was pretty like, oh, so I immediately started making more money. Like, I mean, it was like, because you were like, you're not going to just announce it tomorrow. Like you're going to start your price increase tomorrow, you know? So I had to not only like say I'm doing it, but I'm like, I'm doing it right now.
Right.
So yeah, I started making money right away. But I mean, there's so much more to my story and money, as you know. That's my short answer.
So you started making money right away. And then what methods, hourly pricing, removing the front desk, removing the retail? Let's talk about retail just for a minute.
Mm-hmm. You know,
when
I met
you, you had you had a retail, I mean, you were a storefront.
I was,
Your salon was huge, and in the front you had a giant store, and you were selling so many things. What happened when you removed the retail? What did you see? What emotionally happened? And then also financially, what happened?
Yeah, that was a really wild but fun time for me. My team was probably like, what the fuck? Like they were like, what is she doing? She's getting rid of all this retail. I had like half of my team being like, yeah, this makes sense. The other people being like, what the fuck? And so I slowly started. I mean, you could have fit a whole salon in that area. I mean, and I did.
It's the size of my New York apartment.
Yeah. So I started moving everything out, just selling it. Like I even marked up the price a little bit because I was like, I'm not going to just be like, it's all on sale. I'm going to get my money if I can, you know? And like, to me, I was like, hey, if we're not selling it anymore and they're used to buying it here and it's scarce, I can make it, you know, raise it up.
That's because you're a good businesswoman. You know exactly what to do.
I'm Mr. Krabs. But so I did that. And then it started dwindling away and clients were like, would walk in and just realize that everything was empty and be like, is Rachel doing okay? Like, is she closing? You know, and even some of my team was like feeding into that. They're like, I think that she's closing. She has no money. And, you know, I had to really.
She can't buy the products to stock them. She can't
buy the product. And I honestly convinced myself before I got into this that if I didn't have product, people would not come to my salon because I didn't have a good line. They would not, they would think I was going out of business. And so all of that stuff kind of was happening in my mind and in real life. It was very, very scary, but I trusted the process, like you said before. And I knew that I had no other choice. I was just like, I'm going to try this, because suddenly I was like, yeah, there's thousands of dollars sitting on this shelf that it's just cycling through. I mean, I'm very passionate about getting rid of retail in the salon. I taught a whole class about it, as you know. And that was when I realized I'm making money. That's when I realized, oh my God, like rebuying this shit every month is a bill that I pay.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah.
What did you end up, we removed all the retail. You had a large, I would say you probably had 250 square feet of retail.
Yeah, about 3,000 almost.
3,000 total.
Square feet total. Yeah, there was probably about 1,000 square feet of retail and stuff. Maybe
so then it is bigger than my New York apartment. I live in 750 square feet. So imagine all of that stacked with retail, right? So you removed the retail, and like you said, it started to click like, oh, now I'm there's profit in my business.
There's money in the bank, not just going back on the shelf.
Yes. Okay. And then what did we end up doing with that 1,000 square feet of retail space?
I added 3 chairs and a little photo area. And it was cool because it actually brought us more clients because people were walking by. It was right in the front of the salon. So people were walking by and seeing just bullshit retail that they can get at the salon down the street also. But instead now they saw like hairdressers working, which was really cool.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. And I think that was one of the biggest transformations that in a salon that we saw. And it was a level of allowing someone to really take advantage of their space, which is what we're always trying to teach at Destroy the Hairdresser. Is you have, in this case, 3,000 square feet. You're only using roughly about 2,000 of it, even then, maybe not all of it. And how can we maximize all of that? Then we went into the process of removing the front desk. That one was a tough one for you. And I think it's a tough one for a lot of people. So share a little bit about that emotional and financial change.
Yeah. So that happened last, basically, because I don't know what it is, the emotional attachment to furniture, but it was beautiful. It was made of like reclaimed wood. And I was, everyone around me and my team and other hairdressers were like, but that's the hub of your salon. Like that's the central. And then I was like, people will not know how to check it. And people will not know where to go. It's just going to be complete chaos. And I realized what took me so long is I had systems that had to go into place first before I just did it. Because like my salon ran in a certain way. Like you walk in, you check in. The stylist did not check out their own clients. The clients went up to the front. So I had a lot of I needed to train my team on the expectations. I had to kind of redo everything, which was kind of the hardest part. And it was the part where I just got the most freaked out. I lost people along the way. I lost stylists along the way who were just like, I'm not doing that.
Right.
And that was the risk I took to get rid of that thing. And
how much did you retain financially once you removed the front desk?
I retained everything financially. And then I realized I have too big of a space. So I moved. Because once the front desk was gone, I was like, well, shit, either I add like X amount more chairs. But then I realized and that's what's great about this process is I learned to trust myself in making decisions instead of just like taking all the advice from everybody around me and then just trying to make some sort of like answer soup out of it. But I was like,
soup.
Answer soup.
Exactly. Crowdsourcing turns into answer soup.
Yeah. So I trusted myself and I was like, okay, I'm looking around. I can't add more chairs. I mean, I could, but I had an opportunity to move to a space and just kind of a new space and just start all over and open the salon from the beginning with no front desk, with no retail, and just kind of rebrand and redo with the team that's ready to come on board. And I mean, it's a beautiful fucking thing. It really is when you for me, I had a lot of learning about myself to do. I had to understand how to trust myself and then lead the team and realize if they aren't on board to be okay with that, let them go not be on board somewhere else. But yeah, so because I don't have a front desk, I'm able to utilize all the space in my salon for chairs and for customer experience. Like I have a beautiful, little waiting area with snacks and such. And, if I ever have to get rid of that to put in a chair, I will.
Exactly.
But it's
that flexibility.
It's like a little modular salon. Like everything moves. I can add and subtract. I don't have this fixture there. Clients walk in, they know where to go. We're all like, hey, and they walk in. It's easy. Yeah. And the money is, you're not paying someone to sit there all day, which drives me insane.
Seriously.
Insane.
Then, you moved from this 300 square foot building, you downsized, so you were able to save on rent. I'm sure the other space was really high rent. You were able to save on rent. You removed the front desk, which means you're not paying front desk people, so you retain that money. You're not buying into retail as much, so you're retaining that money.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say through this process, did you notice that the bank account was growing? Did you notice that you were able to take a salary? So tell us more about that. Because I know when people are listening, they're like, this all sounds great, but like, what's it look like financially?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you right now, and I'm not one to like brag or whatever, but I have over $200,000 in a savings account.
God.
It's crazy when I hear about it. To where my accountant's like, girl, you're making too much money. Like you need to spend some money. Okay. Spend money. I'm like,
yeah, we don't want to pay taxes on that.
Right. Like we should pay ourselves instead of the government as much as possible. I'm all about paying taxes. That's fine. But, yeah. So, yeah. And I pay myself quite well.
Do you pay a salary or do you pay yourself a commission?
I do both, baby. I pay myself a salary because I only do hair kind of like 3 or 4 hours a week.
Right.
Which is a lot.
When I met you, how much hair were you doing?
Oh my God, damn it. I don't even know. Like so much. I mean, I remember doing like 13 clients in a day.
Yeah. And what were you charging for a haircut?
$75.
And what do you charge now per hour?
$350.
And I remember when you and I were working together, and I was, my biggest thing when I work with students is like, if you're going to work with me, you're going to be the highest paid hairdresser in your area, because that's what I want as a coach. I want people that are willing to go there. And you kind of laughed at me in the beginning, which I understand why, but you laughed at me in the beginning. And would you say you're the highest paid hairdresser in your area?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't just say it. I know it. I mean, and I think I've dealt with a lot of people thinking that it's insane and unfair and elitist. And then I also have cheerleaders and,
yeah.
But what's great is I'm $350 an hour. So my team isn't going to be some piddly $75 an hour.
Yeah,
it elevates everyone. Yeah. Exactly. Like it elevates everybody. And
even other salons can now, now reach up there. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. And it's absolute bullshit if you think no one's going to pay that.
I know you. Well, that's what I was going to. I was going to bring that up. You were like, "Oh, well, I'm gonna start charging that because no one's going to pay it. Then I don't have to work behind the chair." That's not what happened.
No.
What happened?
I'm working behind the chair. I mean, not a lot, but I mean, I get new clients. If I were to market myself as a hairdresser more, which I don't want to do, that's why I'm not doing it. I want to market my team, but I would most definitely be behind the chair more if I wanted to be. So it's,
and you're in Harbor, North Carolina. You're not in Manhattan. You're not in San Francisco. You're not even in Raleigh. You're in a smaller town, a cool town, but a smaller town. That $350, when I met you, $75 for a haircut to $350 an hour. I mean,
I never would have thought that.
That's a whole lifestyle. I mean, your whole lifestyle has to be different from that.
Yes. It is. Oh my gosh.
So, going through this process, we're making it sound, it's tough, but it sounds glamorous once you get on the other side, which is really nice.
Yeah.
But when you're going through it, I don't want to minimize how hard it is to
Mm-hmm.
go through the changes. And I think one of the biggest changes, and I think why you are so successful in Destroy the Hairdresser's program is that, and I think this is true, and if you're listening, if you want to be successful in this program, you have to be okay with losing your team.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the biggest, and I think that scares people.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be okay with losing your team because it's not the team, the current one. When you make these changes, a lot of them aren't going to stay. You've had a few people stay the whole time.
One.
You've had one stay the whole time, and she's an amazing hairdresser, and I think the ones that stay look at the leader that is doing this, and they go, "Oh, you're on to something." Like
she loves to look at me and be like, "I knew you when everything was, so different." No,
and I think, and it's lovely to have those one or two people that are like, "I get what you're doing, I'm here for it," but it is not the norm. That's not usually what happens. So
it was hard.
So I think I told you, and I think I tell a lot of people, when you start coaching, you're probably going to lose your team. What would you tell people that are afraid of that?
What would I tell people? It's going to hurt your feelings, and it's going to feel like everything is falling apart, and it's going to feel like you can't go on. But there's other hairdressers who are going to be on board with your vision, just like dating. It's like, okay, red flag. Or if you don't like me for me, then I have to break up with you because I know
you're not
that
going to grow with me.
Exactly. And people are people, so they'll hurt your feelings. They'll make stuff up. Even the nice ones, they hurt your feelings too because they cry and be like, "How are you doing this to me?" And I'm a people pleaser by nature. It's something I'm fight against all the time. And I used to run my business trying to keep everyone. So I would just make decisions based on the fear that they were going to leave. And once I let that go, it was really scary, but it sounds cliche, but like once I let that go, everything else kind of started fitting back into place. Now, I wasn't always having money in the bank. I didn't always have that, but I had certainty and just believe in yourself that you know what you're doing and that you're going to be okay if these people leave.
What do you think you would be where you are today without coaching?
No.
What do you think you would be doing right now without coaching?
My gosh, I think I would still be grinding behind the chair because that's where my identity was. And that's what I thought I was supposed to do, quite honestly. I just thought if I own a salon, I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to support. I mean, you're told like only open a salon if you can pay for everything yourself, do everything yourself. And I took that quite literally. So I would be doing it all myself probably, or I would be so burnt out that I would just be, I don't even know, I would be a teacher or something.
You would have quit.
Mm-hmm.
I hear that a lot. Actually, we get a lot of submissions at Destroy the Hairdresser that are like, this is my last resort, or I'm done with the industry. So this is such a common thing. And I've heard so many people say, oh, I opened because I could pay everything myself. And that's a good, I get financially.
I get it at first, for sure. But that's not sustainable.
Would you tell that to a chef? Would you tell that to a retailer? Like, the chef can't cook the food, serve the food, deal with the, you know what I mean? Like,
so why do we think we have to do everything?
We're out there to destroy that as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to give people a glimpse of the juxtaposition between how much you were working and what you were making when you first started to how much you're working. Obviously, you have $200,000 in the bank in savings, but what does your lifestyle look? What's the biggest difference in your lifestyle from before to today?
My lifestyle then was definitely, I was working all the time, doing hair behind the chair. I was constantly frantic about my team or this or that. I was working a lot. I was also working so much that I really didn't do any of the like back end stuff. Like I had no idea where my money was actually going. I didn't really understand the ebb and flow of it. I had somebody else take care of that. And so I was just grinding all the time and just really busy. I missed out on time with my children. I was a workaholic, basically. It was like my whole identity. Fast forward to now, I have so much free time that it's honestly dangerous.
And then this is a big common thing. I always, when I interview salon owners that have taken the DTH methods and really used them, one of their hangovers of the success is, now I have so much time, I don't know who I am or what to do.
Right.
Other than I was a hairdresser and all I did was work. So now I don't know what to do. Did you go through that process?
I did go through that. I went through a period of like, I used that time to start micromanaging my team, or to get upset about these dumb shit, or just like, well, I got to change this, or well, I've got to do that, or and just getting completely bogged down. And then when I refocused, I was able to be like, okay, I have to take this time to actually learn about my numbers. I have to take this time to actually understand where the money is going. And that always really scared me. I had a lot, as you know, tied up into that.
Yeah.
So I hope I'm answering your question, but yeah, like my lifestyle is completely different. I'm more at ease. I just know that whatever comes my way in my business, like I'll handle it and I will be okay. And, that's a really nice place to be. And I wasn't there, 6 years ago.
You haven't been a coach or a student for I would say 4 years. 3-4 years?
Yeah. I was a coach. I haven't been a coach for a year around. And
you're still one of the most talked about coaches in the student. Yes. In the student body and people that have worked with you. You've really helped a lot of people.
I'm so glad.
But I am curious, and I think people are curious too. When you leave Destroy the Hairdresser, or as a coach or as a student, did you revert back to everything you were doing before, or do you still use the methods?
I still use the methods. If I were to, why would I mean, people do things. It's okay. I mean, I don't think that my brain didn't go there, especially like I went through a really tough time 2 years ago financially. And I definitely went through my brain like, okay, I guess, girl, you're going to have to lower your price. You're going to have to start doing hair behind the chair. Like my brain was definitely going there.
Yeah.
But with the consciousness that I've learned as a student, as a coach who's walked people through this, I had to be like, listen, girl, like this is not it. Like that is not the solution. That is a Band-Aid. Like you are bigger than this. Life is more limitless than this. You've created something. Don't do that. So I didn't. And I'm really glad that I kept everything the same, because now look at me. It's just easier. I'm telling you guys, it's easier to do it this way. It is hard. I mean, I remember training to work backstage in hair and them saying to me, the slow way is the fast way. Set the hair properly, learn how to do all this shit. And then when you go to brush it out, you're done.
Exactly.
That is basically, it's like the slow way is the fast way, if that makes sense.
You sound like my therapist. Absolutely. Slow is fast is what she tells me.
Slow is fast.
And I think that's so true. I think a lot of people listen to our podcast or they're in coaching for a few minutes and they like, oh, I tried this and it didn't work. And you have to, one, stick with it. And two, you have to change the way you think about the industry. Because if you don't, then these tools aren't going to work. They're just not going to work. No tool is going to work.
No.
Whether it's DTH
I tried all the tools. All the tools I've tried.
Exactly. Yeah. And you mentioned there was a time a few years back where you had some financial struggles. Was that from coaching or was that from something else?
Oh, no. It was definitely not coaching or DTH methods. Nothing like that.
They're all waiting.
I know they are. I'm sorry, everybody, to tell you. DTH did not literally destroy my business or the hairdresser. DTH in the methods actually saved this hairdresser in her business. For real, though.
No, I love hearing that. But I want you to have a chance to share what happened, because I think what happened to you happens to a lot of people.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I might get emotional. That's okay.
Yeah.
So I said before, like I was a hairdresser. I'm a creative person. I had somebody very close to me that I trusted to deal with, the financials, like the ins and outs, the credit card money coming in, coming out. I knew how much my rent was. I knew kind of how much people were making, but I didn't even do the payroll. This person kind of convinced me that like there's no need for me to do that. Like you just go be fabulous, and I got it from here. Long story short, I realize now why I was told to do that is because the money was being stolen. Money was being stolen and filtered away from me. I had no idea until I had to file for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection because this person was funneling money out of my business.
They were embezzling.
They were embezzling. Yeah. It was very painful. Again, this person was very close to me. And, you know, I'm looking at my team and I'm like, how am I going to pay them? And I would just pay them with the money that would just, as soon as I found out, of course, I took the reins and took everything over. I had negative $5,000 some in the bank. Thankfully, I had a beautiful business with people charging hourly. I didn't have to pay a front desk wage. I didn't have to pay for. So people were paying their, you know, I was able to like day by day, take care of that.
Right.
Yeah, that's what fucking happened to me.
Do you think
in a nutshell?
You know, and I think there are people listening to this episode going, that fucking happened to me, right? And at different levels, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I remember when you were going through this, there was something really cool that you went through during this process, which was you kind of took responsibility instead of blaming this person, which they are to blame. But you were like, but I handed that over so fast and I put my head in the sand. And I have
to look at that. I have to look at what was my part in it because, and this is what I would teach my students and I teach my team. And this is what I learned from coaching is like, if I don't take on the responsibility, not to saying it's my fault, but if I don't take on the responsibility to fix it, then I have no power. I mean, I wanted to give up. I wanted to just say, forget it.
Right.
But, I had this beautiful thing, you know, and I also had the vision in my head, like, girl, you charge $350 an hour. You don't, you know, like you've come so far. You've done all this. People are relying on you. Also, I wanted it. I had the desire to make it happen so badly. It was humiliating and scary, but my whole team is still there with me and we have more, which is great.
What's on the other side of this bankruptcy? Like when people hear bankruptcy and they don't have experience with it, they think they have assumptions of what that means.
Oh, me too. I did too. I had no idea.
I think it's important to kind of expose that, yes, it's scary and humiliating, but the fact that in the United States that you can do different types of bankruptcies is actually, this isn't normal that countries do this.
No.
So what was your experience in the bankruptcy process for someone out there who's like, I'm on the ledge of this?
Right. Yeah. It is still a very privileged thing. You have to have money to file for bankruptcy, which is really weird.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, wait, I don't have any money, but you want my money. Okay. So I got a lawyer, and you have lots of meetings and you have to be very exposed. Like there's different bankruptcies.
There's different types.
There's different types. I did the type where basically you're reorganizing. I'm no expert, but my experience. Chapter 11, you're reorganizing your business. You're telling all the creditors, hold up, I need a minute. Okay. And so you have the protection of the government to do that after you file. But to get that protection, I mean, I had to show them everything. I had to show them my soul. Okay. Like every number, everything had to be accounted for. They called you out for everything. I was on a budget. I had to go through like a training, like a webinar about, you know, handling money, which is really funny because I did not do it.
I know, right? Like you were being punished.
But I was the one on the stand taking responsibility for it. They didn't really care who it was that did that. I mean, they listened to that as a human, but like the law, it doesn't care. The creditors do not care. So basically that puts everything on hold and you reorganize and then you settle an amount that you pay back over time, interest free. So
was there leniency because it had happened to you without you knowing?
No.
Interesting. I just wanted to clarify that because I think people assume like you did, like, wait a minute, I didn't even know this was happening, but there's a level of like, but it's your business.
Exactly. Yeah. It's my business. It was my responsibility. I should have known what was going on, but I did trust this person. And that's, you know, it's it should never have happened to me. But
Right.
yeah, so that's chapter 11. And what's great is it allows you to stockpile money. So now, if I didn't have a healthy business, they would have said, no, you can't file for chapter 11. You're going to have to go file something else. But what's so cool is I'm just remembering this. They were looking over my stuff being like, you really run your business very well. Like, you're cashless. Being cashless was amazing during this time because all the fucking accounting I had to do for every little penny. So
Right.
I'm so thankful.
So I just want to say the DTH methods.
The law loves it, baby. No, like the bankruptcy, like the lawyers of bankruptcy court, you know, they were just like, you're running. Even my accountant is looking at this like, this is so smart and so clean. And they like that my people are employees. You know, they're protected if shit goes down. I don't know, I'm ranting, but it was the hardest, most humiliating thing of my life. But I'm so thankful that I went through it because I'm so much smarter and richer in many ways than
it changed your
before.
Life.
Absolutely did. Absolutely.
And I think we live in a country where it's like, you're supposed to know what you're doing. Everyone's supposed to know what they're doing, even though we don't know what we're doing. And I think when we have people in DTH, what we're trying to get them to understand is, like you just said, the cleanliness of the numbers, right? Which is going cashless, removing the front desk in retail. You didn't have any overhead.
I had nothing. Yeah, I didn't have to worry about that. I didn't have to liquidate things to try to get a little bit of money, you know.
Right.
They
because
were like,
you'd already done it.
Yeah, and also they want to know what your assets are. They were like, well, shit, you don't have any products for sale. We can't take that. You don't have, like your chairs and shit are worth whatever. So they're like, we're looking at what your business is, and your business is fucking good. It's just this debt that's a problem. The debt that I learned about, later.
The debt that showed up randomly.
That showed up like, oh.
So what would you tell someone regarding the Destroy the Hairdresser methods? There are people out there that think that these methods will destroy your business. What would you tell them from everything you've gone through about the methods?
If you go through the process of understanding why you do things the way you do, trust your coach that they are guiding you appropriately and pushing you and meeting you where you're at, that these methods are just kind of a result of something bigger. It didn't do this overnight. Like, I mean, I raised my price. I was still a la carte for a while. But then I was able to overcome, that fear of just raising my price. Then I overcome the next fear. And then I do the next thing. And the next thing you know, it just made fucking sense to get rid of my front desk. The next thing you know, it just makes sense to go cashless. One just builds on top of the other. So if you're trying really hard to which I did, I tried really hard to hang on to this piece over here while still doing this piece over here. It really makes it harder than it needs to be. But that's where I was at the time. And I think everybody.
That's everyone.
That's everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I, hearing your story, and I've told you this many times, I'm like, your story is so powerful because I think when you go through things like you went through, you think I'm the only one going through it. And then you feel kind of isolated and you feel a lot of things, stupid, shameful, guilty,
totally.
like all these things. But then you realize a lot of people are actually going through this. And by you sharing this story, I know there's people listening that are like, I can file for bankruptcy that isn't just going to come take my business away, or there are options for me, or, oh my gosh, someone stole from me and I didn't know what to do. Like, it's important to share these things. But I also want to highlight that because you had the methods, the business was just clean.
Business was doing what it needed to do, and it built itself back up in this beautiful way while I was on the sidelines freaking the fuck out.
Exactly.
I'm
curious, going back to some of the people that work for you, what did you notice when it came to hiring and changing over to hourly pricing? Like, what did you notice in stylists when you were hiring them? Did they like this? Did it bother people? What was the experience there with your team?
Yeah. Now the initial changeover from my team, was difficult. There's a lot of, and I kind of let everybody, I was a student with you at the time. I let everybody start doing it at their own pace. In hindsight, I might have done things differently, but that's where I was. And I remember I had one stylist that still hadn't, because I was just like, she's just an older stylist. She just couldn't do it. She wasn't upholding it. And I just let her go because I was, there's a lot, it's stressful. And you were like, Rachel, we got to get her on board. We have to get her on board. And I got her on board. She still couldn't handle it. So I had to let her go.
Well, I mean, but that's
like
normal.
she's happier somewhere else. Like, she doesn't want to do it. I know. And now, fast forward, I mean, people come, they love it. Stylists come in and they already know how much they want to charge, or they want some sort of guidance on how much they charge. They talk to my team. I invite people to come in and hang out. That's one thing Destroy the Hairdresser has taught me how to hire. So, they come in, they hang out. And that way I'm not like breathing down their neck, asking them dumbass questions or looking at a stupid resume. They are just talking to my team, asking them how it's going. And then they're like, wait, she's charging $150 an hour? Like, okay, well, I'm going to charge blah, blah, blah. And then they rise to the occasion, or they don't. But yeah, now I think it's, they kind of seek out my salon for that.
So now that your salon is very successful, just to say the least. It's very successful. You don't really have, how much management do you think you apply on a daily or weekly basis?
Management. I run payroll. It takes me about 20 minutes.
Is that the end of
And then list? I do the bank, I look at the money and I talk to my accountants. But
so you just run your business.
I just run my business. I look at the numbers. I have a manager who helps me, like ordering and things like that. And I'll just look at the numbers and be like, hey, the order is a little high, the order is a little low. But mainly in my time, I get to coach my team. Like, I get to talk with them, get to know them, listen to their ideas, watch them do hair. I love to, I joke that I'm the mayor of Ceremony Salon, because I just greet the clients and talk to people. And that is so beautiful. And it's way worth more of my time than doing the hair or, trying to do all the things.
Do you know, you may or may not, do you know the profitability of your salon?
No, I was really going to try to figure that out before this.
That's
but
okay.
I can tell you based on what I know is in the bank and what I make and blah, blah, blah. I would say our profit margin is probably around 15% to 20%. And I am also in debt currently. So remove that, and I'm in debt from the bankruptcy.
Yeah. So how is the bankruptcy debt going? Are we almost done?
Oh, we're almost done. Another thing about Chapter 11 is you have 5 years to pay it off based on this monthly payments that you agree upon. I'm waiting for my taxes to be filed so I know how much I need to pay. But as soon as I figure that out, I'll probably just pay everything off. And it's been 2 years, so I can
amazing.
Get rid of everything. But you got to be smart about it, because if you can make payments interest-free, do it.
Do that, yeah.
Do it. But I also want to get that behind me as quickly as possible.
So, to sum everything up and to wrap everything up, what from before DTH to currently where you are now, what has been the biggest transformation? Or maybe there's a few, but what's been the biggest transformation? And what would you tell someone who's like, I don't know if I want to do coaching. I don't know if I'm ready for these methods. I don't know if I am ready to take the leap financially. What would you tell someone? And I say this, are the salons that are the grass is really greener.
It is.
It really is. And I know we're not supposed to say that, but it is greener.
But sometimes you got to go through the mud and shit to get to the green grass.
Yes.
But it is. If I were to tell people who are not quite sure, or if they want it, the fact that you're even thinking about it is something that. I want you to ask yourself why you're thinking about it. You can talk yourself out of it, or maybe financially you're not there at this point, but really say why do I feel like I need help? What do I need help with? And also know that it's not always easy or fun. I cursed at you, well, not at you, but behind your back.
Most people do. There's a lot of people saying things behind my back. I'm used to it.
Yeah, I know. I love you. But so I would just be like, can't believe it's making me do this, or I would question myself all the time. But I learned so much about what makes me tick through the process of coaching that my entire life actually changed for the better. Like before I was in a marriage that really wasn't serving me. I thought I was happy. I was just, grinding through my life. I had small kids and a marriage and working. Fast forward to now, I'm happily divorced. I am more stable financially than I've ever been. My business is, I have a team of people that many have been with me for over 5 years, and they're happy. Some want to open their own space. I'm financially able to help them.
Right.
And they want to use DTH methods because they're like, of course I'm using DTH. Why would I not? They're looking at me and thinking, why try to do something different when this is obviously working for her?
Right.
And yeah, it's such a beautiful thing to like where I was before, just grinding and kind of keeping everybody small because I felt small. Like I was telling everybody what they could charge based on like preconceived biases or whatever in my brain. And now I'm like, y'all can charge whatever you want. You just have to rise to the occasion. And that empowers them and it empowers me, gives me the responsibility of leadership instead of just making the money in the business. And then I'm reaping the rewards of it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we need to see more salon owners that are successful because there's this trope in our industry that's like, oh, salon ownership's you're not going to make a lot of money. It's horrible. You got to micromanage people. And I think Destroy the Hairdresser is here to say, like, actually, no, salons are a great way to make money. Yeah. But we've been kind of brainwashed by, product companies and retailers that we have to do it a certain way. And as soon as you break those rules, our students are making 15 to 20 to 27% profit when the industry average is 6%.
Yeah, I know. I hear that and I'm like, wow.
Right.
But I was there. Right. I remember like just generating, $2 million in and out of my business. And I look and there's like,
and
nothing.
Where's your money? Exactly. Where's the money?
Where is it? I know where it is now.
It's in the bank account.
Hey.
That's where it is. Rachel, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I'm so happy that you got to share your story. I feel like we hit everything. I feel really good about this episode. And I hope that there are people out there that if you're going through any of these things, how can they reach out to you and how can they learn more about Ceremony? Yeah,
so I'm on Instagram, Rachel's Rad. My salon is Ceremony Salon, Carborough, North Carolina. If you just want to pick my brain, if you have any questions about bankruptcy or life or I know really
salon ownership,
tchotchke collection, any of that vintage shopping, just DM me on Rachel's Rad.
That's amazing. And if you want to learn more about Ceremony Salon, what's the website?
Ceremonysalon.com.
Amazing.
And you can steal all of my verbiage about your hourly pricing or whatever. Just steal it, copy paste. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Rachel. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, David. I love ya. Bye.
Now a word from our sponsors.
Let's face it, selling the same retail that every other salon is selling is not working anymore. It's time to take control of your retail sales and profits with Genesis Private Label. Genesis offers premium plant-powered formulations that are cruelty-free and clinically tested. Start your own line for just $1,000 and take your salon's brand and profits to the next level. As a DTH podcast listener, you get an exclusive deal on your sample kit. Usually $149, now just $34.97. Visit genesisprivatelabel.com/DTH and order your sample kit today. Hey hairdressers, are you looking for health insurance? It's time to get healthy with Hairdresser Healthcare, the only coverage designed specifically for the beauty industry. Whether you're an independent stylist, a salon owner with a team, a makeup artist, or a massage therapist, we've got you covered with comprehensive and affordable benefits. With options for self-enrollment and year-round open enrollment, taking control of your health has never been easier. And the best part is, it's available in every state. Visit hairdresserhealthcare.com and take control of your health today because you, your team, and your family deserve it.